So let's talk through some of the key setup elements, and I would encourage you not to skip through this video thinking, the setup doesn't matter so much, I just want to hit the ball better. So much of hitting the ball better is going to come from understanding what's in this video. So I'm going to start by helping you to, again, understand the things we're trying to do in terms of positioning the ball relative to our body and how that helps us to deliver the club in a more effective, optimal manner. So with our weight forward and our shaft lean at impact, that's going to ensure that we deliver a downward hit into the golf ball, a downward angle of attack, which is necessary whenever you're hitting the ball from the ground. And so we want to set up in a way that encourages that to happen. The first thing I would say to you is to understand how the geometry of the swing works. This is basic geometry that you can understand very quickly. Know that the lead arm and the shaft form the radius of the swing, with the center of the swing being the left shoulder. So as I lengthen out my left arm and the club, I have the radius emanating from the center of the swing, the lead shoulder. If I place that center on the ground, it would look like this stick here. So this stick is underneath my lead shoulder. And when we play the golf ball from the ground, we don't play it from underneath our lead shoulder. We always play it slightly behind that point. In fact, we would typically play a mid-iron like this, maybe 3 balls behind the center. Now that ball position can vary slightly from player to player and very slightly from club to club. But if we use that as just a basic start point, we're going to be in a good place. So we take that radius, which comes out of the center, and we place it behind the center. We angle the radius to the center. And by doing so, that is the foundation of building in a downward angle of attack. So it's super important that when you set up to the ball, you have the ball behind the center, which for this club, this is an 8-iron, looks to be just slightly forward of the middle of my stance, but I'm not using my feet as the reference, it's my shoulder. And then the lead arm and the shaft, that radius is angled to the center. We can demonstrate that by putting this angled stick on the ground. That would be this one right here. And it's that angled radius, as I say, that is the foundation for hitting down at the ball. That's a great place to start if you understand that you need to have the ball behind the center. Then with our body, we'll go from the ground up in terms of what you need to do. First thing would be to flare out your feet. There's a tremendous advantage to having your feet turned out in terms of hip turn, both in the backswing and the follow through, and the ability to move your pelvis forward in the downswing and the follow through, which is really the master move of good ball striking. The pelvis moving towards the target, the weight forward piece that I mentioned was a non-negotiable, becomes much easier to do if players turn out their feet. So you're going to turn out your feet, which also has your knees slightly turned out as well. And as we move up to the pelvis, this is an important one. We want to make sure that we have the weight favoring the lead side at setup, so closer to the left side, more weight on the left side by moving the pelvis slightly forwards. That's a pushing of the hips towards the target. You would see that if I was to hang this club down and hang it from my belt buckle, you'd see how when my weight's 50-50, when my pelvis is anatomically neutral in the center here, this shaft of the club would hang down between my ankles. But when I set up for my shot, for whichever club I'm hitting, this is across the bag, this is all clubs, I have my hips more forward. If I was actually to hang the club now from the same belt loop, the center of my pants here, you'll see how the club now hangs closer to the front foot. This is demonstrated uniformly across the board by every tour player that's ever been measured. They have more weight on their front foot when they start. The number is around 60-40, it varies slightly from player to player, but every single elite golfer has their weight on their front when they begin. I think that's an extremely interesting study and piece of data for you to understand. Golf is not a symmetrical sport. We're not supposed to stand here and have everything 50-50. If you want to be an elite ball striker, you want to start by moving your weight forward at setup.